Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. The first thing I'd like to point out is that a lot of gay people are very professional, a lot of them very nice, very friendly. Okay, this is not about bashing the gay community. Okay, the gay community can really benefit from this story just like every other community. They can see that this is not going to cause people to bash gays or to ban them from the workplace or anything like that. And I don't think you should go around beating up gays. I don't think that you should discriminate against them. I think that housing is a human right, and that includes the LGBT community. Okay, even the people who are harassing me. But I do believe people should be punished according to their deeds in a way that is fair and just and right. Okay, so anyway, so as they're trying to make me gay when I was younger, and trying to, they're trying to get me to be gay and like be a rapist and all kinds of, you wouldn't believe a lot of the details. I mean, you would and you wouldn't, and I don't want to deal with the drama and the immaturity in society. Take a moment to really feel resentment for all those immature people out there who made it so that I can't tell you the details of this story because it's counterproductive. I want to make sure that you know that I'm right, that you know that everything's serious, and so on and so forth, and do things in a logical and strategic way. Okay, so take a moment to pause this, whatever you gotta do, resent all those immature people who go, dude, who lie about things and try to say, no, I think he's really gay in the closet, all that kind of stuff. Okay, just resent the hell out of them. There's no excuse for that. Okay, now again, it's not hate speech or bullying, but I think we can all benefit from pushing back on those bullies, those racist gay bullies, those social norm fanatics, all those horrible, horrible people that really brought America way down, raised the debt through the roof, okay, insisted on white supremacy. So minorities, a lot of times it's one of the main reasons they don't get, the ones who don't get a job, who just really made our lives hell. Okay, all that lily white bullshit, all that oppressor garbage. Okay, so now we go into Cardin, right? We actually wore a crest at Cardin on our uniform. I get all kinds of, physical fitness awards, those blue physical fitness awards, those blue and red is presidential and some kind of red is national or something. Okay, so I got a bunch of those things. I wrestled people. People would say to me, two individuals, one was a Jewish kid, and I was wrestling him, beating him fair and square, and then he did the punk move, right? It's a punk move to punch a kid, because if I start punching him back, we're gonna get in trouble. I might even get expelled. So I'm not gonna take that route, right? So it's a very dangerous water to tread in terms of getting in trouble with your parents, getting sent to fucking, military school or whatever. Like, I would be in a world of shit if I run my fist across his jaw and knock him out in one hit, which is what would have happened, right? I'm like bigger than him, so on and so forth. So he like punches me like below the belt, and I start crying. I'm a kid, right? And and he said, you're only gonna you're only gonna date fat girls, fat black girls. He said, watch, mark my words, fat black girls. Okay, now, then, when the teacher comes, she said, I don't feel sorry for you, and she said, long ago, his ancestors beat your ancestors or something. And of course, I don't know what the fuck she's talking about, but I guess she's trying to say that I'm a Philistine or something, that he's a fucking Jew, and that I'm an Egyptian. Okay, which is, those guys were, less black than the first dynasty, right? This was, Ramses and them. They were blackish, but they weren't like me. That's like pointing to a bunch of gay black guys in the Castro in San Francisco, who are more mixed than I am, and who have completely different cultures. They don't go to war like I do, right? And saying his ancestors beat those guys over there according to their own story, right? That doesn't mean anything. You see what I'm saying? But she took his side. She co-signed with him. And so things like this, occurred, these kind of events, right? I remember this other kid that, he did the same thing where he hit below the belt when we were wrestling, and it was basically a bitch move, right? And, on another incident, I pissed on him as a kid, right? I'm taking a piss, he comes in and does some prank thing, I turn around, boom, I let him have it, I piss on him. He goes straight to the teacher, okay? Yeah, instead of just washing, I'm thinking, I'm going to, take that motherfucker, that'll teach you kind of thing. Just wash it off and he'll fucking be pissed the rest of the day and he'll never try that again. He goes straight to the teacher, right? And he's not crying or nothing. It's just, he just is, that's what he thinks he should do. So these guys aren't tough. They're immature, and they were taught that. It's the culture. They weren't taught to be warriors. I didn't have my identity back then. I wasn't taught to be a martial arts as a kid. I didn't do martial arts as a kid. My dad showed me a little wrestling or something, but that's about it, right? We called it roughhousing, but it was just wrestling. And there was another case, there was this other kid, right? So I had been like punched several times at that school, in the process of trying to wrestle somebody, okay, which is fucking strange, right? And these kids are like some kind of crazed white-skinned kids, right? Whites and Jews, right? One of them looks like a neo-Nazi, one's like an Italian guy, and one's a Jew. Okay, now I didn't grow up with a chip on my shoulder like that. I made the distinction. I said, the vast majority of white people here and whatever Jews are here, they're leaving me alone. They're just whatever they are. They're kind of lukewarm, like average, right? I wouldn't say they're super cool or I love these people or something, but I didn't hate them. I didn't have anything against them, other than society's kind of general haterism that you feel in general, that they're not your family or something, and they make dumb decisions, and you know what I mean. Okay. So there's that, right? And again, still not taking any martial arts or anything, but I've watched a lot of Bruce Lee movies. So that one kid later on, I see him at the park, and we basically squashed the beef like real fast. There wasn't even any shaking hands. It just that happened. Boom. Okay. I grabbed him again. He said, "I don't want to go there with you." He kind of acknowledged that I'd win. He said, "You win, okay," or something like that. We see again at the park. We're kind of playing around, right? But there's kind of some bitterness in it. And he's doing like these round kicks, like these kicks on the playground. And me and my little brother are kicking. My little brother and I were kicking at him, and him and his friend, his mom comes, and she's like, he gets in trouble, and she's like, "Where's your parents?" And she wants to, bang on us, and that, so to speak, in that way. And my parents went around, thank goodness, so we didn't get in trouble. And so there's that. And when I was younger, interesting enough, my little brother was a beast when it comes to wrestling. My older brother was a beast when it comes to wrestling, right? Under the right circumstances, my little brother could actually beat me at wrestling as a kid. Okay, and when it comes to martial art in general, being a warrior, no. But it comes to wrestling specifically in a certain way. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and tell this story, right? I'm wrestling with him on the fucking thing. And, this guy, he could beat him easily. I could beat him easily. So my little brother's getting the upper hand, right? For whatever reason, it's like the way his body was shaped. I can't explain it, right? And he's like, what a pussy. He's getting beat up by his little brother. And we're wrestling. He's not beating me up, so on and so forth. But I'm like, okay, well, why don't you come over here and wrestle me or wrestle him? And he just looks dumbstruck as fuck, dumber than fuck, dumb look on his face. Okay? Now, again, this isn't something that I went to fucking therapy for or something. I don't give a fuck about none of this shit on the one hand. Where it has racial overtones, I do. Okay? So I had hundreds of wrestling matches that I'm cleaning up everyone, older students, you name it. Okay? And in the midst of that, there's these kind of things that occurred where people did these bitch moves, and then my older brother could beat me at wrestling, right? And he was a very angry little kid, And my little brother was a beast at wrestling. And that was about it, right? So I had this teacher named Mrs. Saw, and she's like, it's not a coincidence, right? This is part of it, okay? Like the movie Saw, and of course Saw backwards is was, and it's play on words for ways. And believe it or not, this is part of the wordplay. Like if you do the wordplay of average words enough, you'll see that I'm right? Contribute, right? Contribute, right? Inspire alpha, okay? Prepare, pre-rape, food, right? Faux do, meal, melee. Okay, AIDS is said scrambled. What did he say, right? And alpha IDs. And that's not a coincidence. We can go on and on. It lines up too often for it to be a coincidence, right? The word harps, the H and the spar. Okay, playing harps, right? The spirit, the sparit spirit. And harp with an E is a sickle-shaped sword. And there's so many words like this that it's no other way it could be, right? Wings and wind, and wind, G's, wings, wind, windy, right? And of course, the wind is the spirit in the Bible, and God is the Father, patriarchal lines. I can go on and on. Okay, so I kind of want to shoot through this because the implications are more important than the stories in many ways, in most cases at least. Okay, so then I had this other teacher, Mrs. Solomon, in first grade, right? And she was like, okay. So Mrs. Saw was like in I want to say I had her twice or something, but she was in kindergarten, right? One of my kindergarten classes was like K1, K2, okay. Then Mrs. Sullivan was in first grade, and the timeline's a little bit kind of jumping back and forth, but not too much. So she had a short hair. She was a feminist. She was an angry person, right? And she basically was like, okay, because my writing was not neat. If I take my sweet time, I can write pretty well, right? But if I don't, it's kind of sloppy, right? Like a doctor's writing. And so, she was like, okay, these, my last name, right? Insert my last name here. These certain boys that belong to my family, right? That they're so smart, but they can't write neatly.